this kinky shit. I'd like to try with you. I got some kinky shit. I'd like to try with you. I got some kinky shit.
Welcome to another episode of Demystifying Gay Porn Summer Sessions. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped you get off. So this episode, I am calling Champ Robinson, who I know has already been on season 3. But since our episode aired, Champ had a little bit of a backlash with one of the series on his Vision X website. And the series in question was called Dumplings. It was featuring Asian models. And at one point, I do believe one of the models, and then eventually a good amount or a group of Asian models, confronted Champ about the name and their disapproval of the name, and Champ went ahead and changed it. But there's a lot of backstory that I've been privy to because Champ is a really, really good friend of mine, and I've known him for a very long time. And while it was all happening, I was reading on Twitter and kind of talking to him. So that is why I know that there's definitely a lot of background that was not shed. And we are going to talk to him now and see if he'll share a little bit of that background.
Hello.
Champ Robinson, how are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing well. I can't complain.
That's good.
So any poop, how's your summer been?
Summer's been up and down, a little crazy here and there, but I throw overall good and improving. Put it there now, so it's getting good, better.
Okay, all right. I mentioned a little bit before calling you about Vision X, about Champ Robinson, and about a series called Dumplings.
Correct.
I also mentioned that I thought you handled it well, and I thought Robert, who works with you,
Yes,
handled it well.
Thank
And
you.
I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this because there's receipts all over the place on Twitter.
Exactly, and I'm just trying to go with it. It wasn't with malicious intent at all. It was a play on words, because myself, I love all races, and I can see if some people were offended by it. I can get that now, and I'm glad it was brought to light. If it did offended any race, I want to correct that.
I mean, let's clarify it a little bit, because while it was happening, I was speaking with you, and
Yes,
and I, like I said, I was watching everything on Twitter.
right.
And also while it was happening, I was texting you because I was curious.
And a lot of other people as well.
Yeah. And also, I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but be it with RFC, when I was with RFC at the time, my time with Treasure Island, and you being a friend, I recommend names.
Okay.
And I remember, so let's go back to 2019. You had a gangbang, and it was going to be
Right.
about 5 black tops and 1 Asian bottom.
Correct.
Right. And I said, you should call the movie Dumpling.
Right.
Remember that? That was
Yes,
a while.
yes.
And in one of our podcasts, I did mention that. So I referred or recommended that name because I thought it was a good play on words, but also you had to ask
The model.
the bottom model.
Yes, and he was all for it. He liked it. Yes, he was.
He liked it to the point where he used it as his Twitter handle.
Right.
And was Austin NYC at the time.
Yes,
right?
correct. Yes.
Okay. Very different from calling a series Dumplings, though. And
Right.
and I completely understand. And from what I was reading, I understand where this one specific model was coming from. But also, before before you started, because you've been sharing content recently with models.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, sir.
And before you've started sharing content with models, you were paying these models. You were paying models in general for their scenes.
Correct.
While you were doing so, you were also, if you had, for instance, if you had an Asian model, you would ask them if Cum Dumplings was okay, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things I remember from our conversation, and I remember it vividly because I wrote a lot of it down, because I said, we're going to have to talk about this on the podcast at some point, but we wanted to wait for it to cool down a little bit.
Right.
Not to say that it was insane, but
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just get things under, then simmer down and let them control. So
yes, because I think there was a lot of miscommunication. And by that, what I mean is the specific model that had a problem with the name and eventually spoke out against it, filmed a scene with you, but filmed a scene that was content sharing.
Right.
You did not tell him that under your website it would be called Cum Dumplings.
Correct. That was a faux pas. I slipped my mind. So yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
full responsibility.
Yeah, that's where the problem lies, I think. In my opinion, because
Yes.
if you had spoken to the other models, the paid models that appeared on Just Vision X, that you were not content sharing, and they were okay with it, that's one thing.
Exactly. He was for it in it, and actually he was actually supporting it until I guess he got in with some other guys, Asian guys, and they had a discussion. So yeah, because he was actually retweeting and actually liking the post. So I guess he got with some guys that thought it was offensive, and he had a different mindset about the title.
And full force from what I saw, because you issued, I would say, 2, even 3 apologies.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I saw, it still wasn't good enough.
True.
And I wanted you to talk about this too, because you got sick. You were sick.
Yes, I was, for over a month.
Okay, so you were sick for a month. And while this was all happening, how was your communication with the model? Because and that's another thing. You know what? Before we talk about getting sick, give me a timeline. You did these shoots in New York City.
Yes, at the end of June. Yes.
Then you went back home, and that's when.
Yes, the beginning of Well, actually, end of June, I guess the 28th, like 25th to the 28th, and I was start feeling ill on that 28th, and then after that, things start going downhill after that. So.
Okay, and then when the scene went up, I think it was July 4th weekend.
Oh yes.
Now it was July 4th weekend. How soon after were you contacted by this model?
I wasn't looking at social media as much. I saw him that he sent me a message about the scene, and he's like, I don't like the title of it. And I explained to him it was a play on words. That was a series, and that's how it went. And after that, he responded back a couple of days later. He didn't respond immediately. It took him some days to respond, and he responded to some days later with some negativity and what he was upset, and he needed to take it down, and more forth that he wasn't going to support it.
In between all of that, you had already apologized in private.
Yes.
And you also said that you were going to be taking down the scene. Not only the scene, you weren't going to be taking down the scene. You were going to be rebranding.
Rebrand that whole series. Yes.
Yes. This is something that's very important, and I found a little deceptive. You may have been sick. I don't think that you relayed that. And now we're talking a week. So a week passed between the time that you were contacted by this model and when the queer, gay, sex worker community released this letter as a whole condemning Cum Dumplings, your series.
Right.
That whole week, you were working on changing and rebranding.
Correct.
Okay.
So I guess I wasn't moving fast enough, which I told them that. So I guess I wasn't moving fast enough in their mind.
Okay. But you had mentioned to them. There are text messages.
I mentioned that. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Those are receipts. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's very important. And I know, and you have not spoken, you have not mentioned that online. And I know because I speak to you, and I thought that that was very important to put out there, even if you didn't want to. I know you wanted to apologize, you wanted to be rebrand as soon as possible, but a lot of malicious things were said about you, which I know are not true, and I feel as your friend, not just a pornographer or somebody that's been in the industry. I just feel like somebody who's been so supportive, because I've watched your series, I've watched you grow. Somebody that's been so supportive of including everybody in the porn
every
game.
race. Yes,
Just,
exactly.
I feel like they punched down. I can understand if it was a studio that was, first of all, we're in exploitation. We're in the business of exploitation.
And fantasy, yes.
Exactly. Fantasy and exploitation is what we work in. It's not a negative connotation. Exploitation, when I say it, I don't mean the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. However, there are studios that do that. I mean it as the action of making use of or benefiting from resources. And that's what the porn industry is. And fantasies that have existed since the 80s and 90s and 2000s and 2010s, or since the 70s, actually, for a long time.
Yes, that's you're right.
I get it. I absolutely understand that Cum Dumplings, first of all, every Asian ethnicity or country will not fall into Cum Dumplings.
Right.
So I get their argument. I think the way it went out was there was a lot of misses in this. There was miscommunication, misguidedness, I think. And like I said, I think the way it was portrayed, or the way you were portrayed, by even some people that have never worked with you.
Yes, exactly. That's what got me. The ones that was
a little disappointing, in my opinion.
Yes.
But that's okay. So that's my opinion. I'm done talking, because I was really upset by what I saw, because of the fact that people who know who you are know that this is not you. And also with the creation or the rebranding of your entire website, you kind of didn't have control over a lot of things.
That's right. Yes, because it was in the hand of a guy that was building everything, and it was hard to get it in and take things down at the moment. Yeah, because it was under construction. Put it that way.
Okay, all right. And this person is no longer with you.
That's correct. No longer.
Okay, you did listen, and
yes.
And as we said, a lot of this was happening in private, and then it happened public. What were comments that you were hearing? Both negative and positive, because I did see some positive comments as well.
Positive people like, it's a fantasy. People shouldn't be so uptight. Keep on. I like what you're doing. It's not offensive to me. Some Asian guys, even in my DMs, were responding to me. And other ones, comments, oh, you need us more and we need you. I mean, you're speaking for a whole community now. I mean, beyond that, it was a lot of support as well. Like,
how do you feel now? How do you feel? What did you learn from this entire experience?
I learned to be more considerate of other people's feelings and whatnot, and stands, and compassion and sympathy, which I always had, but it makes me think more now, because the world changes. What's good to somebody else is bad to somebody else. So just trying to make sure we're all on the same page. Probably have a clause now. Sign off. I'm okay with what you're doing. It made me stronger, made me think more and how things are going. So, and how to better myself and the people around me for future endeavors and projects.
Any other updates? What are you doing now? I like I said, that was the main premise of having you on, was to kind of address that, because you had not spoken about it. I got a message on Instagram about possibly talking about it.
Right.
And I'm reflecting on our conversation now. And,
right.
If I'm unnerved or a little testy about it, it's because I really do think listeners probably won't understand how well I know you and how much I knew that you could absolutely not do something that would maliciously hurt somebody.
Correct. Exactly.
And that's the part. And that's why in this conversation specifically, I feel it was like a punch in the gut to me too, because there's a lot of things happen out there. And I know that, they had mentioned in their letter, not trying to cancel you, not trying to do this, but
you're actually saying that's something else.
But it was all being taken care of privately. And like I said, I just think it was a perfect shitstorm of miscommunication.
Yeah. and a learning experience for sure. But yeah, I like all my models. I have models now contact me with their personal problem, and I help them out. They're like, Champ, thank you for checking on me. Like one model instantly, he had a death in the family. He's like, now I've been checking on him weekly. Like, I appreciate your kindness and compassion and what you've been doing for me. You're a good person, and I like, thank you. I like, at least if I can affect somebody person in a positive way, I'm happy.
I'm glad that we were able to address this, and I'm glad you finally were like, okay, let's do it.
Yes, much better. So yes, I love my Asian guys. You always know that. I take my trips over to Thailand. I love my Asian community. Always, I love this style and culture. I would never do anything harmful against them. I mean, it's just something about it. It's not a fantasy for me. I just love Asian guys. Even in high school, I had a crush on this a guy from China. So
yeah, I can attest to that.
Right. Yes, I told you.
There have been times where we'll hang out and sexy Asian guy walks by and I'm like, oh, Champ, that's totally you.
Yes.
That's all you. Now that we're talking about that, let's talk about the fantasy just a little bit. So as there is an Asian fantasy, there is a white fantasy, there is a big black cock fantasy.
Right.
Do you think that there are double standards when it comes to that because maybe one's perceived more positive than the other?
Yeah, I think there are. Yes, there's some. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, stigma in those too. Yeah.
Well, like, how does it feel to be just known as a big dick, a big black dick?
I mean, I've taken it now. I know how people are, but it depends on, I guess, I'm feeling. Sometimes I'm like, okay, good. I'm empowered by it. And sometimes like I'm more than that. So I have both feelings on that. I'm just being honest with you. Yeah. So I'm yay someday and I'm probably nay. So it depends on that mood and who's addressing it sometimes. So, but it is what it is. If I'm known as a big black cock, I'll take that and stand on it. So yeah, that's who I am. That's who I am to some people, and not, like I say, we're fantasies, and I'll take it. So I'll take it in pride and stride. So
and then outside of work, you are the man, also known as Champ Robinson.
Yes,
you have a family. You have people that love and care for you, and
oh, dearly, yes.
And you grind. You work 9 to 5, 10 to 6, however it may be, huh?
Yeah, I'm a person. Yes, okay. with feelings, and I get sick, and I do go to sleep. People, I'm up at 3:00 in the morning when you call me. What are you doing? And also, yes, and his notoriety is good because I just flew in from Buffalo, last weekend. And the guy, he spoke to me like, Champ, nice flying with me. Thank you.
Wow. So somebody on the airplane, huh?
Yes, he was a flight attendant. Yes, it was. And I just smiled. He smiled back. And that was fun. I like that. That was good.
That's always fun.
Yes. So, yeah, good.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to add? I wanted to.
Yeah, let's see. Got things I'm working on just for fans and OnlyFans and a few other sites we're getting on and some new projects we're getting into. So let you know that. And I'll get it together. I know a guy who I think is Imagine. He did a Champ Robinson book. So I'll get that and share that with you guys. And also have a guy recently next week. He wants to do a mold of my dick and make the Champ dick. So I'll let you guys know that. Okay. So yeah, it's getting there. So few things we're working on. Yes, about time. Yeah, so getting those points and just trying to get things together and push more so we can be an entity, Champ Robinson entity, along with me and my business partner, which I love him to death. He's a great guy.
When you do get the mold made, let me know. I would love to record that process, or maybe you can have it recorded and I can put it up on.
Exactly, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I will definitely get there and I'll have our session recorded.
Okay. All right, Champ, I'm gonna let you go. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're heading to the gym. Go do what you got to do. Before we go, though, where can people find you if they don't know who you are already?
Go to my website, which is Vision X. That's the name of it, but you got to go to visionxflix.com. Check my Twitter at Champ Robinson X, Instagram Champ Robinson 1859, and my Facebook page Champ Robinson. And I'm going to create a TikTok. It's Champ Robinson, but I'll give you that to you more. And check out my Gista fans on the VX Studios and my Gista fans at Champ Robinson, I believe. And I think that's all I have now. If not, I'll get it out later.
Wow, it becomes such a strenuous workload.
Yes, I'm about to get my little list of like, oh, find me out here, there. So yes. So guys, if you ever see me, check me out, sign up to me, support me, give me what you don't like as well as what you do like. I like it all, so I can see what I can make better for you guys.
All right, and this is Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande. You can find us on every podcast directory, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. This is Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped to get off. Cheers.
This kinky shit. I'd like